Previously on Duty or Desire, African-American detective Tessa Park woke up married to Seoul's most feared mafia boss, Kang Dae-hyun, after a drunken night that changed everything. What started as an undercover mission to destroy him became an impossible love story. Before we begin, smash that subscribe button and hit the like icon. Comment below. Would you betray your career for love? Captain Huang's weathered face showed nothing but disappointment as he leaned back in his chair. Detective Park, or should I say, Mrs. Kang? His voice carried the weight of betrayal, each word carefully measured. Tessa met his eyes without flinching. Tessa is fine. Is it? He drummed his fingers on the table between them. Because last I checked, you're still on my payroll, still wearing a badge, even if it's locked in your apartment drawer. I told you on the phone. I'm done. The investigation is over. Captain Huang leaned forward suddenly, the movement sharp enough to make nearby patrons glance their way. You don't get to decide when it's over. 6 months of work, resources, department time, all wasted because you caught feelings for a criminal. He's not what you think. He's exactly what I think. The captain's hands slammed down on the table, making both coffee cups slosh. Kang Dae-hyun runs half the underground in Seoul. Money laundering, protection rackets, information brokering. Just because you didn't find weapons doesn't mean he's innocent. Tessa's jaw clenched. Every muscle in her body wanted to defend Dae-hyun, to explain the man he really was beneath the reputation. But she knew it wouldn't matter. The captain had already made up his mind. Then find another detective to prove it. I'm out. Captain Huang pulled a manila folder from beside his chair and slid it across the table with deliberate slowness. Tessa stared at it for 3 heartbeats before opening it. Inside were photographs. Dae-hyun meeting with known criminals, financial records with highlighted transactions, surveillance images time-stamped over the past year. Her stomach turned. We have enough to arrest him today, the captain said quietly. Conspiracy, racketeering, organized crime. He'll go away for 20 years minimum. Tessa's blood ran cold. She'd known this moment would come eventually, but seeing the evidence laid out made it real. You're bluffing. Try me. Captain Huang's expression softened slightly, almost paternal. Unless you come back in. Wear a wire. Get us concrete evidence of his operations. Give us something that sticks, and maybe we'll consider lesser charges. The words hung in the air between them. In the background, an espresso machine hissed. Someone laughed at a nearby table. The world kept spinning while Tessa's came to a complete stop. You want me to betray him. I want you to do your job. Detective. Tessa stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Her hands were shaking, but she balled them into fists to hide it. No. Captain Huang blinked. No? You heard me. Her voice shook but held firm. I won't do it. Arrest him if you want, but you'll do it without my help. I'm done being your spy. The captain stood too, his face reddening. Then you're fired, effective immediately. Badge and gun on my desk by end of day, or I'll have you arrested for obstruction. Tessa laughed, the sound hollow and bitter. There's no need, Captain. I already quit. She turned toward the door, spine straight despite the trembling in her legs. You're making a mistake, Tessa. His voice followed her across the cafe. He'll destroy you like he destroys everything he touches. She paused at the door, hand on the handle, and looked back over her shoulder. Or maybe I'll save him. Either way, it's my choice to make. The Seoul sunshine hit her face as she stepped outside, warm and bright and somehow wrong for the moment. She'd just walked away from everything she'd built. 6 years on the force, a detective's shield she'd earned through blood and sweat, respect from her colleagues. All of it gone in the space of a 10-minute conversation. Tessa pulled out her phone and texted her bodyguard. "Coming out now." Within seconds, a black sedan pulled up to the curb. Min-ho, Dae-hyun's head of security, opened the back door for her. "Everything okay, Mrs. Kang?" he asked, noting her expression. "Fine," she lied, sliding into the leather seat. "Take me home." As the car pulled into traffic, Tessa stared at the folder still clutched in her hands. She should have left it on the table. Instead, she'd taken the evidence against her husband, the man she loved more than her own career, the man whose child she might be carrying. Her hand moved unconsciously to her stomach. Her period was 3 weeks late. 3 hours later, Tessa sat on her bathroom floor, back pressed against the cool porcelain of the bathtub. The pregnancy test in her shaking hands showed 2 pink lines. Unmistakable. Undeniable. She reached for the second test she'd bought, then the third, both positive. Her hand moved to her flat stomach, fingers splaying across the fabric of her shirt. A baby. Their baby. The thought sent waves of emotion crashing through her. Joy, terror, wonder, panic. She was carrying the child of Seoul's most wanted man. She was carrying their child while the police department actively worked to destroy him. Tears streamed down her face before she could stop them. Happy tears or scared tears, she couldn't tell anymore. Maybe both. Her phone buzzed on the counter, startling her. Dae-hyun's name lit up the screen. "Dinner at 7? I'm making your favorite." Tessa stared at the message, then at the 3 positive tests lined up on the tile floor, then back at her phone. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard. How did you tell someone they were going to be a father? How did you tell them while the world was falling apart around you? She typed, "I need to tell you something important." His response came immediately. "Are you okay? Do you need me to come home?" "I'm fine. Just, we need to talk tonight." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "You're scaring me, Tessa. Don't be scared. I love you." A long pause stretched out. Then, "I love you too. See you at 7. Tessa set the phone down and looked at her reflection in the mirror across from her. Detective Tessa Park was gone. Now she was just Tessa Kang, wife and soon-to-be mother. The thought terrified and exhilarated her in equal measure. She gathered the tests, wrapping them in tissue, and stood on shaky legs. In 6 hours, everything would change again. That afternoon found Tessa in a bookstore in Gangnam, browsing the parenting section while her bodyguards maintained a discreet distance. She wasn't ready to tell them about the pregnancy yet, wasn't ready to see their protective instincts multiply. She picked up a book about first-time mothers, flipping through pages of advice that seemed both overwhelming and insufficient. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. The text made her blood freeze. Congratulations on the baby. Shame if something happened to it. Tessa's head snapped up, scanning the bookstore. Another text arrived before she could process the first. A photo of her leaving the pharmacy earlier, the pregnancy test box visible in the bag she carried. The timestamp showed 3 hours ago. A third text. Stay away from Kang Dae-hyun. This is your only warning. Walk away, or when we come for him, you and the child won't be spared. Her detective training kicked in automatically. She turned slowly, pretending to browse while her eyes cataloged every person in the store. There, in the corner, by the magazines. A man in a baseball cap, pretending to read but watching her through the shelves. Asian, late 30s, scar on his left cheek, expensive watch that didn't match his casual clothes. Tessa raised her phone as if taking a selfie, angling it to capture him in the background. The flash reflected off the watch. A fourth text arrived. Smart. but not smart enough. We've been watching you for weeks." The man in the corner stood, tipped his cap at her in a mocking salute, and walked toward the exit. Tessa moved to follow, but he was already gone, disappeared into the Seoul crowds like smoke. "Minho!" she called to her lead bodyguard. He was at her side in seconds. "Mrs. Kang, what's wrong?" "Someone's following me, and not your team." She showed him the messages, careful to angle the phone so he couldn't see the pregnancy reference. Minho's expression went from concerned to lethal in a heartbeat. His hand moved toward the concealed weapon beneath his jacket. "Show me where." But the man was gone, vanished into the mass of afternoon shoppers and tourists. Minho immediately radioed the rest of the security team, his voice clipped and professional. "Possible hostile contact. Mrs. Kang compromised. Returning to base now." "The boss needs to know," Tessa said quietly. "Already calling him." Minho guided her toward the exit, 2 more bodyguards flanking them. "Let's get you somewhere safe." The penthouse felt different when Tessa entered at 6:30. The warm lighting and soft music couldn't hide the tension humming through her body. Dae-hyun was in the kitchen, and the smell of her favorite Korean dishes filled the air. He looked up when she entered, his smile fading instantly when he saw her expression. What happened? He was at her side in 3 strides, hands cupping her face, eyes searching hers for injury. "We need to sit down." They moved to the living room couch. Dae-hyun's concern was palpable, his body angled toward hers, one hand never leaving her knee. Tessa pulled out her phone and showed him the threatening texts. She watched his expression darken with each message, saw the dangerous man from the police files emerge in his eyes. "How long?" His voice was cold. "Since this afternoon. There's more." She took a deep breath. "I met with Captain Hwang today. He gave me an ultimatum. Come back as an informant or he arrests you on conspiracy charges." Dae-hyun's jaw clenched. "And?" "I quit, officially. I told him to do his worst without my help." Tessa took his hand and placed it on her stomach, her heart hammering. "I chose you. I choose us. All of us." Dae-hyun froze. His eyes went wide. "All of us?" "I'm pregnant, Dae-hyun. About 6 weeks. I took 3 tests today. All positive." The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then Dae-hyun pulled her into his arms so fiercely she gasped. His shoulders shook against her, and she realized he was crying. Kang Dae-hyun, Seoul's most feared crime boss, was crying against her shoulder. "I'm going to be a father," he whispered into her hair, his voice breaking. "We're having a baby." "Are you happy?" Tessa asked, her own tears falling. He pulled back, framing her face with both hands. His eyes were wet but blazing with emotion. "Happy? Tessa, I'm terrified. I'm ecstatic. I'm completely overwhelmed. But yes, I'm so incredibly happy." He kissed her then, tender and desperate, pouring everything he couldn't say into the touch. When they broke apart, reality intruded. Dae-hyun's expression shifted, hardened. "The threats. They know about the baby. How?" "I don't know, but they've been watching me for weeks. They knew before I told you." Dae-hyun stood, pacing like a caged animal. "It's the Choi Syndicate. Has to be. They've been trying to move into my territory for months, threatening my wife, my unborn child." His voice turned lethal, dangerous. "They just signed their own death warrant." "Dae-hyun, no, we can't escalate." "They escalated the moment they threatened you." He whirled on her, fury radiating from every line of his body. "I won't let them touch you. Either of you." Tessa stood, moving to him. "Then we're smart about this. Strategic. You taught me that survival means being smarter than your enemies, not just more violent." Conflict warred across his expression. Finally, he nodded. You're right. But security increases. Immediately. Double the guards. No more going anywhere without a full detail. Daehyun, non-negotiable, Tessa. Not this time. Not with our child's life at stake. She wanted to argue, but the fear in his eyes stopped her. Okay, but we do this together. No secrets. No secrets, he agreed, pulling her close again. They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other while the city glittered beyond the windows. The next 2 weeks transformed Tessa's life into a gilded cage, 4 bodyguards minimum at all times, armored vehicles for every trip. The penthouse security upgraded with cameras at every entrance, panic rooms, armed guards rotating shifts. She felt like a prisoner in her own home. The anonymous messages continued daily. "Tick-tock, Tessa. Time's running out. Does Daehyun know you were a cop? Or are you still lying to him? Your baby will never meet its father. We'll make sure of that." Each message made Daehyun more protective, more controlling. Tessa's pregnancy symptoms worsened with the stress. Morning sickness left her weak. Exhaustion dogged her steps. She snapped at bodyguards, at Daehyun, at everyone. 3 weeks after the first threat, they had their worst fight. Tessa threw a glass across the living room, watching it shatter against the wall. "I can't live like this. I'm not a doll to be locked away." Daehyun's voice was cold, controlled. "You're pregnant with my child. You'll live however keeps you safest. This isn't living. This is existing in fear. Better existing in fear than dead in the ground like Minseo." The words exploded from him, raw and painful. The silence that followed was deafening. Tessa's anger drained away, replaced by understanding. She moved to him, taking his face in her hands. "I'm not Minseo. I can protect myself." She thought that too. Daehyun said quietly, not meeting her eyes. Right up until she couldn't. They made up that night, holding each other in the dark. But the tension remained, coiled between them like a spring wound too tight. 4 weeks after the first threat, Tessa reached her breaking point. The morning sickness was brutal, but the cabin fever was worse. She cornered Daehyun at breakfast, determination in every line of her body. "I need out, just for a few hours. Fresh air, normalcy. Tessa, please." Her voice cracked. "I'm going insane locked in this penthouse. The baby can feel my stress. The doctor said I need to stay calm, and I can't do that pacing these rooms like a caged animal." Daehyun studied her face. The dark circles under her eyes had deepened. She'd lost weight despite the pregnancy, her cheekbones too sharp. Her hands trembled slightly as she gripped her coffee cup. He relented. "One shopping trip. Chanel boutique only. It's in a secure district. 30 minutes maximum. 6 bodyguards. Min Ho leads the team." "Thank you," Tessa breathed, relief flooding through her. 2 hours later, she stood in the exclusive Chanel boutique in Gangnam, examining handbags with something approaching normal joy. 2 bodyguards flanked her inside, while 4 more stood stationed outside. She ran her fingers over a leather clutch, smiling at the texture. Then she saw them in the mirror's reflection. 3 men entering the store. Wrong energy, too tense, too focused, scanning the space instead of shopping. Her detective instincts screamed danger. She caught Minho's eye across the boutique, a subtle signal. He saw them too, his hand moving toward his concealed weapon. Everything happened in seconds. The men pulled guns. Civilians screamed, diving for cover. Bodyguards drew weapons in response. The luxury boutique transformed into a war zone. Glass shattered. Mannequins exploded. Designer bags flew through the air as bullets tore through them. Tessa dropped behind the counter, one hand protectively over her stomach. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This couldn't be happening. Not here. Not now. Get her out the back, Minho shouted, returning fire. But the back exit was blocked, more attackers waiting. They'd planned this perfectly. Smoke grenades deployed, filling the boutique with thick gray clouds. Tessa couldn't see, couldn't breathe properly. The acrid smell burned her throat. Hands grabbed her in the chaos. She fought on instinct, elbow to a face, knee to a groin, using every defensive move she'd ever learned. But pregnancy had weakened her. She was outnumbered, overwhelmed. A chloroform-soaked cloth pressed over her nose and mouth. She struggled, thinking of the baby, of Dae-hyun, of everything she had to live for. Her vision tunneled, the world tilted sideways. The last thing she heard was Minho shouting her name, gunfire, sirens wailing in the distance. Then nothing. Tessa woke to darkness and the smell of oil and decay. Her head pounded, vision blurred, nausea churned in her stomach, pregnancy or chloroform, she couldn't tell. As consciousness returned, she cataloged her situation with professional detachment, hands zip-tied behind her back, ankles bound to a metal chair, cold concrete floor beneath her feet. The space felt large, echoing. A warehouse. 5 figures materialized from the shadows as her vision cleared. The leader stepped forward into the dim light. Park Jin-sok, though she didn't know his name yet. 40s, expensive suit that seemed wrong for a warehouse, eyes cold as winter. Mrs. Kang, welcome. Sorry about the accommodations. Tessa's voice came out hoarse. Where am I? Somewhere your husband will never find you in time. Jin-sok circled her chair slowly, a predator examining prey. Unless we want him to, of course. What do you want? What everyone wants. Power, territory, respect. Your husband has all 3. I want what's his. He stopped in front of her, tilting his head. Smart detective. But then, you would be smart, wouldn't you? Detective Park. The use of her old title made Tessa's blood run cold. You know? Oh yes. We know all about your little undercover operation, how you were sent to destroy Dae-hyun, but ended up in his bed instead. Very romantic, very stupid. His smile was cruel. The department wanted to take him down, and you gave him a wife and heir instead. Poetic, really. If you hurt me, he'll kill you. Jin-seok laughed, the sound echoing off warehouse walls. That's exactly what I'm counting on. You see, your husband is smart, careful, always 3 steps ahead. But you... He touched her hair. She jerked away violently. You're his weakness. The thing that makes him reckless, emotional, human. Get to the point. The point is simple. We lure Dae-hyun here to rescue you. He comes in full of rage and fear, thinking only of saving his wife and child. We ambush him, kill him, take over his entire operation. You're bait, Mrs. Kang. Very effective bait. And if he doesn't come? Jin-seok's expression turned vicious. Then I'll send him pieces of you until he does, starting with that baby you're carrying. Terror spiked through Tessa, but she forced it down. She'd survived worse. She'd survived this. For her baby. For Dae-hyun. You're making a mistake. I'm not just some helpless wife. I'm a trained detective who survived worse than you. The backhand came without warning, snapping her head to the side. Blood trickled from her split lip, copper taste filling her mouth, but she didn't cry out, didn't give him the satisfaction. Brave words for someone tied to a chair, Jin-seok said. Tessa spat blood at his shoes. Untie me and see how brave they are. He hit her again, harder. Her vision swam, but she stayed conscious, stayed focused. She was working her wrists against the zip ties, feeling the plastic dig into skin. If she could just get one hand free. Record a message, Jin-seok ordered one of his men. Let's invite our guest of honor to the party. Across the city, Daehyun's headquarters looked like a bomb had gone off. Furniture overturned, papers everywhere. Glass shattered across expensive carpet. He stood in the center of the chaos. Phone pressed to his ear, voice raw from shouting, "I don't care how many resources it takes. Find her now." 20 men assembled in the room, armed, dangerous, waiting for orders. Minho stood among them, face bruised, arm bandaged from the boutique firefight. Guilt etched every line of his expression. Daehyun grabbed him by the throat, slamming him against the wall with terrifying force. "You were supposed to protect her. You promised me she'd be safe." Minho choked, unable to speak. The other men shifted uncomfortably, but didn't intervene. Nobody intervened when the boss lost control. "Boss, I'm sorry," Minho gasped. Daehyun released him abruptly, turning away. He ran both hands through his hair, the gesture almost violent. His usual icy control had shattered completely. These men had followed him for years, had seen him order executions without blinking, had watched him navigate gang wars with cold precision. They'd never seen him like this, unhinged, consumed by fear and rage. "It's Choi Syndicate," the intel officer reported, voice carefully neutral. "Confirmed, Warehouse District, Sector 7B. "How many men?" "At least 40, heavy weapons. Boss, it's obviously a trap." "I don't care." Daehyun bit off each word. "They have my wife. They have my unborn child. There is no trap I won't walk into to get them back." His second in command, an older man named Song, stepped forward carefully. "Boss, think strategically. If we go in unprepared..." Daehyun's gun was out and pressed against Song's forehead before anyone could blink. "Finish that sentence. I dare you." Song went silent, hands raised. Daehyun lowered the weapon. "Mobilize everyone. Full arsenal. We move in 15 minutes. Anyone who wants to stay behind, leave now. This is war." Nobody moved. Loyalty or fear, it didn't matter. They were all in. Daehyun's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Video file. His hands shook as he opened it. Tessa filled the screen, tied to a chair, blood on her face, but eyes still defiant. Jin Seok's voice came from off-camera. "Kang Daehyun, we have your wife, your child, everything you care about." The camera zoomed on Tessa's bruised face. Daehyun's hands crushed the phone edges. "Come to Warehouse 7B in Sector 7. Come alone, or we kill her slowly. You have 2 hours." Tessa suddenly spoke directly to camera. "Daehyun, don't..." Jin Seok hit her, hard. She flinched but didn't scream. Daehyun saw the impact, saw the pain flash across her face, and something inside him broke completely. 2 hours. Clock's ticking. "Oh, and Daehyun, we'll take good care of your baby, right before we kill it." The video ended. Daehyun played it 3 more times, memorizing everything. The warehouse layout visible in the background, shadow positions suggesting guard placements, and Tessa's hands. She was making subtle signals behind her back, counting enemies, giving tactical information even while captive. She was still fighting. That was his wife. Minho approached cautiously. "Boss? Orders?" Daehyun's expression went cold, his rage now focused and lethal. "We're not raiding. We're declaring war. Call everyone we have. Every ally, every contact, everyone who owes me favors. I want 100 men armed and ready. We're burning that warehouse to the ground." If you enjoyed this story so far, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what you think will happen next. Will Daehyun save Tessa in time? Will the baby survive? 1 hour later, a convoy of black vehicles approached the warehouse district. Daehyun led from the front vehicle, fully armed, wearing tactical gear. 75 men total, split into assault teams. Minho ran tactical from the command vehicle. Entry teams Alpha and Bravo breach simultaneously. Sniper positions on surrounding roofs. Extraction team ready at all exits. Boss leads Alpha team. Daehyun checked his weapon, expression carved from stone. Rules of engagement? Boss? Anyone between me and my wife dies. No prisoners, no mercy. Minho nodded grimly. Understood. They breached at exactly 9 p.m. Explosives blew the warehouse doors simultaneously, the sound deafening in the night. Flashbangs followed, disorienting the defenders. Then all hell broke loose. Automatic weapons fire lit up the darkness. Grenades exploded. Men screamed. Daehyun moved through the chaos like death incarnate, putting down anyone who aimed at him before they could fire. He wasn't fighting to survive. He was fighting to kill. Efficient, brutal, unstoppable. Bodies dropped in his wake. Inside the main warehouse area, Tessa had been working on her restraints for hours. The zip ties had cut her wrists bloody, but she'd finally gotten one hand free. When the explosion started, she freed her other hand and went to work on her ankles. The old chair broke under her weight as she tipped it backward, using momentum to snap the aged wood. She grabbed a fallen guard's weapon, checked the magazine. Full. Despite her pregnancy, despite her fear, she was fighting. 3 attackers came at her position. She shot 2 with cold precision, used the broken chair leg to club the 3rd. Her police training and survival instinct kicked in completely. Jin Seok appeared from the smoke, grabbing her from behind. His gun pressed against her temple. Daehyun! One more step and I blow her brains out! Daehyun froze in the warehouse doorway, weapon raised. His eyes found Tessa across the space, bruised, bleeding, but alive. Their gazes locked. Years of trust, love, understanding passed between them in a heartbeat. Entire conversations happened silently. Tessa gave the tiniest nod. She threw her weight backward, headbutting Jin Seok's nose with vicious force, dropped to the ground. Daehyun fired. Instantly, perfect shot between Jin Seok's eyes. He was dead before hitting the concrete. Daehyun rushed to Tessa, cutting the remaining restraints, pulling her into his arms. Are you hurt? The baby? We're okay. Get us out of here. But it wasn't over. Reinforcements arrived. 20 more Choi Syndicate members pouring through the back entrance. A massive firefight erupted. Daehyun shielded Tessa with his body, returning fire while trying to reach the exit. I can fight! Tessa shouted over the gunfire. You're pregnant! I'm also trained. Give me a weapon. He did. They fought back to back, moving in perfect synchronization despite everything. Taking down enemies methodically, covering each other's blind spots. The extraction team pushed forward, clearing a path. They were almost to safety when Tessa gasped and stumbled. Red bloomed across her side. Time seemed to stop. No! Daehyun caught her before she fell. Blood spread across her shirt. Her hand went to the wound, then protectively to her stomach. The baby. Daehyun, the baby. What happened next would become legend in Seoul's underground. Daehyun transformed into something beyond human. Carrying Tessa while fighting one-handed, he cleared a path through their enemies with terrifying precision. Anyone in his way died. Minho and the team formed a protective circle, fighting toward the vehicles through a literal wall of gunfire. Stay with me, Daehyun commanded, his voice breaking despite the order. Stay awake. Talk to me. Tessa's voice was weak. Hurts. I'm scared. I know, baby, I know. You're strong. Strongest person I know. Just stay awake. Keep talking. Her eyes fluttered. If something happens to me, protect our baby. Nothing's happening. You're both going to be fine. But terror edged his words. They reached the vehicle. Daehyun climbed in back, cradling Tessa, applying pressure to her wound with shaking hands. Blood soaked through his fingers. Too much blood. Tessa, don't close your eyes. Her eyes closed anyway. Tessa! Hospital 2 minutes, Minho shouted from the driver's seat, the vehicle screaming through Seoul streets. 2 minutes felt like eternity. Dae-hyun held pressure on the wound, talking to her constantly, begging her to stay with him. Her skin was too pale, her breathing too shallow. The emergency room erupted when they arrived. Tessa was rushed into surgery immediately. Dae-hyun tried to follow, but doctors blocked his path. Sir, you can't— That's my wife, my child. Security was called. Minho pulled him back physically. Boss, let them work. Let them save her. Dae-hyun collapsed into a waiting room chair, head in his hands. Blood covered his clothes, his hands. He was trembling. 4 hours crawled past. His men stood silent guard, not knowing what to say to their boss who'd finally found something he couldn't control or fix. Finally, a doctor emerged, removing her surgical mask. Dae-hyun was on his feet instantly. My wife? The doctor smiled. She's stable. The bullet grazed her side, missed all major organs. She lost blood, but nothing critical. She'll recover fully. And the baby? The doctor's smile widened. Heartbeat strong and steady. Your baby is perfectly fine, Mr. Kang. Your wife is very, very lucky. Dae-hyun's knees buckled. Minho caught him. Years of control, of being unbreakable, crashed down. He sobbed openly, relief so intense it was physical pain. Can I see her? She's in recovery. This way. Tessa lay in the hospital bed, bandaged but breathing steadily, awake. One hand rested protectively on her stomach. When Dae-hyun entered, she smiled weakly. Hey, we're okay. The baby's okay. He was at her side in 2 steps, taking her hand, kissing her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Tears streamed down his face. I thought I lost you. Both of you. Can't get rid of me that easily. Takes more than a bullet graze. It's over. Jin Seok is dead. Choi Syndicate is destroyed. Nobody will ever threaten you again. I swear it. Tessa touched his face gently. Dae-hyun, we need to talk about our future. I want out. Not out of us, never out of us, but out of this life. I want our baby to grow up safe. I want to wake up without fear. Can you give us that? He didn't hesitate. Yes, I'm already planning it. I'll dismantle everything if that's what it takes. You and our child are all that matters now. She pulled him close, their foreheads touching. I love you. Even when you're being overprotective and controlling. I love you too. Even when you're being reckless and giving me heart attacks. They laughed through tears, hands joined over her stomach where their baby grew. A family forged in chaos, tested by fire, emerging stronger. 6 months later, transformation. Dae-hyun systematically exited the criminal world, sold illegal operations to trusted associates, established legitimate businesses, real estate, tech investments, restaurants, made peace with remaining syndicates through reparations and truces. It was slow, dangerous work, but he was committed. Tessa, heavily pregnant now, worked on her business plan. Sentinel Security Agency, using her detective experience. Elite protection services, completely legal, hiring former cops, military veterans, people who wanted to protect, not harm. Dae-hyun funded it, but the vision was entirely hers. Their new home was beautiful but not ostentatious, secure but not a fortress, a normal neighborhood where neighbors didn't know their past, a garden where Tessa grew vegetables, a nursery with pale blue walls and a crib Dae-hyun was currently assembling while Tessa supervised from the rocking chair. You missed a spot, she teased. You're very demanding for someone who can't reach her own feet. They laughed. They were happy. Genuinely, impossibly happy. 3 weeks later, Tessa gripped Daehyun's hand so hard during a contraction that he winced. "You did this to me," she yelled. "I know, I'm sorry. Stop apologizing and breathe with me." 12 hours of labor. Then a baby's cry filled the delivery room. "It's a boy, healthy, perfect baby boy." The infant was placed on Tessa's chest. She sobbed with joy. Daehyun touched his son's tiny hand with wonder. The baby gripped his finger with surprising strength. "He's perfect," Daehyun whispered, tears streaming. "He has your eyes. He has your strength." He kissed her forehead. "Thank you for everything. For him. For giving me a reason to be better." They named him James Minseo Kang. James for a new beginning. Minseo for the sister who would have loved being an aunt. 1 year later, Sentinel Security Agency thrived. Tessa's name was on the door. Daehyun's legitimate businesses succeeded. They'd left Seoul for quieter Busan, their home filled with toys, laughter, chaos. Normal family life. The doorbell rang during dinner. Tessa opened it to find Captain Huang, older, retired, carrying a gift. "Heard you had a baby. Thought I'd apologize. For everything." She invited him in without hesitation. They talked, made peace with the past. After he left, Daehyun held Tessa close. "Think he'll ever forgive you for choosing me?" "Don't care. I'd choose you again. Every time." Little James grabbed at his father's face between them. On the mantel, a family photo. Tessa in civilian clothes, Daehyun in a business suit, baby James between them. A perfect, imperfect family built from impossible circumstances. And that is Tessa and Daehyun's complete story. From drunken wedding to true love. What did you think? Was the rescue worth it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story kept you hooked, smash that like button. Subscribe for more forbidden love stories.